Okay, we are now live. Welcome everybody. This is Stefan Wiedner. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Noomii.com. It is 4 p.m. Pacific time, January 18th. It's a Thursday. So what we're going to talk about today is your coaching business by the numbers. And I hope I teach you something, or maybe, as Felicity said earlier, hold your feet to the fire, or just kind of motivate you to get your numbers together for your own business. I also hope that you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil handy. I'll also be sharing a link with you for a template for some performas or projections that you're happy to take and use to your heart's content. And I will share that with you a little more towards the end, just because, especially while we're going over it, I don't really want you kind of mucking around in your own spreadsheet, not focusing on the conversation, but you can certainly get it towards the end. Okay, so let's move on. I did also want to, before we jump in, I wanted to mention Deliberate Growth. So it is our group coaching program. And the focus of that is to help coaches build six-figure coaching businesses. I'll tell you a little bit more about that towards the end of the call, but just wanted to mention it here before we get going. All right, so what's our mission? Our mission is to spread coaching to the masses. And obviously we do that through Noomii. I'm sorry, I'm going to just mute someone's line there. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Okay, that sounds better. So our mission is to spread coaching to the masses, and we do that through Noomii, where clients can find a coach, match them, all that sort of good stuff. But the other thing we take pride in is helping coaches build their businesses. Partly because the people that are coming to Noomii, they've already kind of made up their mind that they want to hire a coach. But there's tons and tons and tons of people out there who haven't made up their mind that they want to hire a coach. And by you operating your businesses and being kind of like the boots on the street sort of thing, you know, you guys are like the folks out in the communities, touching lives, interacting with people out there, like tentacles on a octopus, and you're able to reach a lot more people than we can. So we see our work being kind of symbiotic. We're helping you, and by helping you, you're touching more lives and allowing more and more people to experience the power of coaching. Anyway, I already know you're already believers in coaching, so let's get on with it. So what's the problem here? Why are we putting together this presentation at all in the first place? And we think it's partly because of this guy, Warren Buffett. So who's Warren Buffett? Well, he's one of the richest men in the world, and most of you are probably already familiar with him. I had the good fortune about 3 or 4 years ago to go to the Berkshire Hathaway AGM. And if you've never been, which I guess a lot of people haven't, it's an amazing experience. So the Berkshire Hathaway AGM started maybe 40 years ago or something like that, with a few shareholders sitting in a room learning about the business. Well, it's definitely expanded beyond that now, where there are 20,000 people or so crammed into a sports stadium to listen to Warren Buffett speak about his philosophy on life, his philosophy on business, and also his reports on the various companies that are part of his portfolio, because his company is really just a holding company that owns all of these other companies. And so he speaks about those companies and how they're doing and gives a financial update. And boy, does he know his numbers. That's partly why he's been so successful, is because he really, really, really knows his numbers. He knows his numbers really well for his business and all of his portfolio companies. And unfortunately, sometimes when I talk to coaches, and I'll even ask a simple question like, how many clients do you have? And coaches might say something like, I have like 1, 2, I have like 6.5 clients, something like that. You know, like, wait a minute, you need to know that. How many is it? It's a finite number. You can't have half a client. Well, I guess you kind of have. You can, you know, you can have some people paying their full fare and others paying half. But anyway, you need to know your numbers. And I think that's why we're putting this presentation together to help you put your numbers together as a way to make decisions. When you see the numbers of your business, then it helps you make decisions for the future of your business. All right, so let's get into it. Well, putting your numbers together really is a part of this bigger thing, which is to start with your dreams and work backwards. So that's partly what we're going to do. And so if the goal is to have your numbers all figured out, well, it might be a little hasty to just jump into the numbers if you haven't figured out sort of the bigger picture, where you're heading, your dreams, and all that sort of stuff. So step one in this entire process is to define your coaching nirvana and your why. So if you've checked out Coach Marketing Bootcamp, which is part of Noomii.com, you may have already done this process because that's the first thing we recommend there. We recommend that you define your coaching nirvana. Well, what is coaching nirvana? Coaching nirvana is this place that some of the most successful coaches have got. And it's a place where you basically have to do very little marketing anymore because you've planted all these seeds in the past that are now harvesting fruit in the present day and into the future. So you've built tons of relationships. You've got relationships with people that refer business to you. You have many, many really amazing and happy clients who are referring their friends and acquaintances to you, etc. So that you want to define that for yourself. What does that look like when you get to that place of coaching nirvana? You can describe who the clients you are that you're working with, how many days you're working, where you're located, the type of work you're doing, etc. And then you can also define your why. And so this is sort of like your raison d'etre, right? Your why are you doing your work in the first place? So hopefully, as coaches, I'm assuming most of you have done something of this nature. Maybe you haven't explicitly written it down, but you've probably got something. So to get us all kind of inspired and motivated for the next 45, 50 minutes, does anybody want to share their why or briefly describe their coaching nirvana? Anybody care to share? What's your why? You know, why are you a coach? Jennifer, can I dare put you on the spot?
Somehow I knew that was coming. Well, you know, I've done a lot of reflecting over the years, and I think I really just came to the conclusion that I just really get full joy and pleasure out of seeing people have that moment of like, oh, I really can do this. Things are not as impossible as I imagine that they are. And I think that helping people kind of clear the roadblocks in their life is just something that has always just created a lot of joy for me.
Yeah, that's great. So helping people see the possibilities for their own lives. Wonderful. Anybody else care to share?
You can watch the first video and then come back and meet me here.
I'm going to mute some more lines. Okay.
I'd like to go ahead. First,
yeah, go ahead.
Website. This is a mistake, and in this video, I'm going to.
All right. Anybody else? Sorry, there was some background noise there.
This is Allison. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Allison.
My why is for sure similar to the last. It's very centered around the passion and the joy and the incredible feelings I get when it comes to helping other people succeed and reach their goals. And realizing I'm an HR director in my real 9 to 5 life, and realizing how how much more often I want that feeling, and really how excited I feel after every coaching call. I get done every call and feel like, you know, I've really accomplished something great. So just, you know, building more on that feeling.
Awesome. Great. Well, of course, I've talked to a lot of coaches, and that's a very common thread. And thank you for sharing. So let's move on. So as I previously said, you know, I hope all of you have spent a little bit of time to articulate and write down your own definition of coaching nirvana and your why. And if you want to check out the worksheets and Coach Marketing Bootcamp, go ahead and do that. It's all in Module 1. Just log into Noomii and go to Noomii.com, and it's there. Okay, next slide. The next thing, once you've done that, you defined your why and your raison d'etre. You want to define your revenue goal, and you might have like a 3 to 5 year goal or a 10-year goal. You know, I mean, we're all coaches, so we're all kind of in this, you know, we've done this kind of goal setting thing before, I'm sure. And so I invite you to answer the question, because we're at the beginning of 2018 here, the end of 2017 just having passed by. What's your goal by the end of the year? And you know, quickly jot that down. Write it down on a piece of paper if you haven't already. So by the end of 2018, I will, and then describe how many clients you'll have, how much money you'll be earning, and you know, there's no wrong answer here, right? Because for someone like Allison, who's still working as an HR manager, your goals might be different from someone who's been working as a coach for 5 years, already has a fairly good, stable client base, and is just trying to look to grow that, right? So, and furthermore, in our group coaching program, it's been revealed to me that there's a number of coaches that they want to grow their coaching business or that side of their business. So if you have other lines of services that you offer, such as maybe you do consulting or training, or you offer sort of workshops and these kinds of things, but want to do more coaching because you really enjoy that aspect of your work, you can have goals around all of your different lines of services. And maybe the services you offer aren't even related to coaching. Like maybe you, I don't know, you just do something totally different to earn, you're more of like a freelancer. So maybe you do copywriting or something and you just want to build up your coaching. Well, those two things can go hand in hand. They can work together and you can have goals for both. But for this conversation, we're going to focus on just that sort of that coaching aspect of your business. And so I see some people still writing things down, but yeah, have a goal, number of clients, revenue generated in the year and by the end of the year. Okay. Next, I would love to have one person be kind of a guinea pig to kind of walk through the process with them. Is there anybody who's willing to share what their year-end goals are for the end of 2018? And be willing to kind of go, I'll help go through the numbers with you as we go through the presentation here. Anybody want to volunteer for that? You just have to unmute your line and speak up.
I'm willing. This is Allison again.
Okay. All right, Allison. So first thing you can do is jot down where you're at and where you're going. So what was your goal by the end of 2018? How many clients, what kind of revenue?
So I would like to have a total of 20 clients before the end of, have worked with 20 clients before the end of 2018. And I would like to, I'd like to earn $20,000 in my coaching business.
Okay. So that's basically $1,000 per client, 20 clients in the year.
Yes.
Okay. That's pretty good. Where are you at right now? Like how many clients did you earn in 2017? Or how many clients do you have and revenue earned?
Yeah, I'm very early in the process. I just received my coaching certifications towards the third quarter of 2017. So I have 2 clients that I'm working directly with right now, and one that I will be hopefully signing by the end of February.
Okay. So 2 clients. And what kind of revenue well, okay, yeah. So that's good. That's good. Good start. So let's go to the next slide and show you the next step here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to write down, you know, your goal at the end over here on the right, and then where you were at the end of the year. So I'm thinking about things on a monthly basis, or on a month-to-month basis. I think that's how you want to be thinking about it. So your goal may have been, I want to work with 20 clients in the entire year, and I would recommend breaking that down by the quarter, by the month, and that's what we'll be doing in this process. So so you start with where you're at now, where you want to go, and then, okay, now we're going to have to figure out how do we put the numbers, how do we fill the gaps. So I had my working example is with someone who has 8 clients at the end of the year, earning $300 per month per client. And so that they're grossing $2,400 in the month. So, and by the end of the year, they want to be earning $10,000 a month. Then they want to be working with 20 clients per month. So this is not 20 clients throughout the entire year. It's per month at $500 a month. So 10 grand a month. So the question is, and for Allison, her goals are slightly different here, right? The question is, well, how do we do that? How do we go from there? And maybe what you're thinking is, oh my gosh, this is like, how do we do that? How do you get 20 clients, or how do you get 20 clients in an entire year? And, I'm going to have to harness the force here like Yoda. But this is an accounting procedure, so it's actually kind of easy. In the example I was using, where we have someone going from 8 to 20 clients in a year, it's easy to solve that problem because all you have to do is add 1 client per month, and it looks kind of like this. So this is what I was talking about with being able to sort of break it all down by a monthly process. So here we have someone who started with 8 clients, and every single month they're just adding 1 new client. And by the end of the year, they got 20. Now, I wish it was that easy. So Allison, for you might want to think about adding like if you want to work with 20 clients in the year, you want to be adding not 1 client per month, but more like 1.5 or even 2. So, or maybe 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So that's how I would do it. I would say, okay, maybe at the beginning when you're newer, you might add 1. You mentioned 1 in February. So you're already, so let's say January 0. So then February is 1. Well, maybe March is 1, maybe April is 1. And then you're going to have to ramp it up to like 2. Or maybe even at the end of the year, you get like 3 clients, so that you're going to add it up to 20, right? For Allison's purposes. Now, in my worked example here, it's not realistic to have one paying, just add 1 new client and just grow your base every single month, because you're going to lose clients. There's some client attrition. And so if we want to know how much money you're earning every single month, you got to keep that in mind, right? So if in this case, I assume that you would lose 1 client every 2 months. It might actually be a little bit higher than that. I don't know. It depends on how long you keep clients. And for you, Allison, if you're earning $1,000 per client, do you have an idea of how long they're sticking around? Like, how long are they working with you?
So the first, excuse me, the first client that I worked with in 2016 was 16 weeks, and we're starting another 12-month session, 4-week session next week. And the second client that I had, I actually technically signed my client in 2018, and so we're working on the first month. Generally, my sessions are 12 weeks, and hopefully increasing on a monthly basis after that, as needed.
Okay. So on average, it's something like $1,000 for 3 months.
Yes.
Okay. So I'd say that's pretty typical. That's very common for clients to stay with a coach for 3-4 months, and then thereafter maybe they come back for like, a session here and there, or maybe they stop for a bunch of time and then they come back again when they're going through some sort of career transition or leadership change at work or whatever. So on average, though, a client might stick around for 3 months. It might be totally different for someone else. Their average client might stick around for 6 or 8 months. So that's a number you need to find out for yourself. And how that affects you is what that does is that affects the number of clients you lose. So this attrition line in the middle here, the number of lost clients. And so this number of lost clients is going to be a function of the total number of clients you have down here. And so if you were to get like all of your clients in January, well, by April, May, they're going to be gone. So for you, Allison, what I would do is I would say you're going to acquire one new client and they're going to pay you on average $333 per month. So that at the end of, and they're going to stick around for 3 months. So then at the end of that 3 months, now you have to get a new client. So I would have one new client in January, and then I would have one lost client in April. And then, and so then if you were to get no other additional clients, you're going to be down to 0 clients, right? This number right here would be 0. If you put 1 here and then 1 here, and these are all zeros and these are all zeros. So, so that's maybe the way you want to do it. So for you, Allison, you might want to just, to make it simple, you would just say, anytime you add a new client, you lose one 3 months later. You add one here, you lose one here. You add one here, you lose one here. For me, in this case, what I did is I just assumed that you lose one every 2 months, and to make it a little bit simpler. And so what that means is instead of adding 18 or 12 clients in the year to get to 20, you have to actually add 18, right? Because 1 here, 2 here, 1 here, 2 here. And so however, you need to customize this model to meet, you know, how you work with your clients and your typical clients and how long they stick around. Okay, does this all make sense so far? Allison, does it make sense for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have, I would have, you know, it makes sense when you think about it, but I don't know that I would have thought about it on my own. So like breaking it down in terms of a new client every month, or, you know, bumping it up towards the end of the year, and then accounting for your lost clients, you know, through attrition, that makes a lot of sense. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So another way to think about it is if you acquire one client a month, and they stick around for on average 3 months, your maximum total number of clients is going to be 3. Because in month 1, you're going to have 1 client. In month 2, you're going to have 2. In month 3, you're going to have 3. But then in month 4, you're not going to go for 4 clients. You're going to go up to 4 and then down to 3 again, because you're going to lose 1, right? So there is this need to like replenish. You know, it's like you've got this bucket and you're putting water in it, but eventually it gets to the top and then it overflows. So you need to keep that in mind. It's a natural part of most businesses. It's a client attrition, or maybe the better number companies like to keep track of is client retention. What's your client retention number? Month over month, what's your client retention? And, you know, if you were a big business and you had thousands and thousands of clients, you would probably have a client retention month over month of like, I don't know, 90% or 70%, or like banks probably have a client retention rate of what, like 98 or something. You know, if you're going to go into a bank and create a bank account, odds are you're going to stay with that bank for a long time. So their client retention rate's really high. Whereas coaching, I mean, that's not a service you use forever. So client retention numbers are a little bit lower. Anyways, it's something for you to think about. Next. So this is just an accounting procedure, right? I could get to 150 clients here if I wanted. I just have to add like 10 or 15 clients a month. Whoop-de ding dong. That's easy to do, right? Any accountant, any bean counter, anybody with a spreadsheet can put in the numbers so that you get to however many clients you want at the end of 12 months. But we need to like have the rubber hit the road, right? If you're going to put in a goal of 20 coaching clients, well, how the heck are you going to achieve that? And the whole point of putting these numbers together is so that you know what metrics to focus on so you can achieve your goals. And how do you do that? Well, I think the next step is to reverse engineer the sales funnel. So what we've focused on so far is just this red part of this sales funnel, which is right down at the bottom, the total number of clients that you have. Well, in order for someone to hire you, you're going to have prospects and then you're going to have leads. Like you're going to have some people at the top of the funnel. At the top of the funnel, you might start with 1,000 people, and down at the bottom, you have 2 clients out of that. Well, so let's look at what a typical coaching sales funnel looks like, and then I'll show you how the reverse engineering fits back into the spreadsheet or the model that we created. So here's one. Actually, I'll talk about let's talk about a sales funnel and what it is and how to break it down. I'm going to talk about my own first experience with the sales funnels when I was in college, and I started a painting company with my buddy, and we called it ESP Painters. experienced student painters. It's kind of an oxymoron. We're experienced, but we're students. So anyway, when you're 21, you think you're pretty darn smart. So anyway, here was the steps that we took. The first thing we did is we canvassed the neighborhood with flyers. So we would go on, let's say, a Monday night and just go around and hook these little flyers onto everyone's door. And that's it. And then the next day, what we would do is we'd go knock on their door. Presumably at this stage, they would have seen the flyer and hopefully read it. And so we would knock on doors, and out of 100 houses that we dropped off flyers at, maybe 40 doors would open. And so to every one of those 40 people, we would say, hey, do you want a free estimate? So we made them that offer. And out of that, 3 people might say, yeah, okay, I want to get my house painted by some shaggy looking 21-year-old. Fine, give me an estimate. And then out of that, those 3 estimates, we'd maybe get 1 sale, right? So if we wanted to get, so if we went through this exercise and said, well, each house we paint is probably going to earn us about $5,000, maybe $4,000, $4,500. In order for us to make the income we want to make, we need to paint like 10 houses. Well, how are we going to get 10 sales? Or how is Allison going to get 20 clients? Well, you have to reverse. You just go right up the funnel, go up the other way, like this. How did we get 10 sales? Well, to get 10 sales, now we need to give 30 estimates. To provide 30 estimates, we need to go knock on 400 doors, or have 400 doors be open so that we could say, hey, would you like a free estimate? And on top of that, we needed to hand out 1,000 flyers. So now this is 1,000 homes that we have to go to and hook a little thing on their door. So this process of reverse engineering your sales funnel is what you need to do to come up with the right numbers for your own business. So let's look at a typical sales funnel for coaching. Well, a typical sales funnel, and this is one that I think is perhaps somewhat underappreciated, but in order to have a successful sales funnel in coaching, one thing you need to do is go out there and have conversations with people, right? Whether it's someone in a grocery store lineup or a friend of yours. I think what's most likely is that you have probably all of you have a Rolodex of people you know, former colleagues, friends, neighbors, etc. You want to have what I call a coaching conversation. What that means is you're going to have a conversation with them, and you're going to at least talk a little bit about your coaching services, or let them know that you're a coach in some capacity. And maybe it's just so you can find out, like you're doing a little bit of data mining, you're trying to find out how you could potentially help them, so it's more about them and less about you. But nonetheless, you want to have a coaching conversation. And out of every 10 coaching conversations, you might have the opportunity to give 5 people an offer of, you know what, I'd love to work with you, and do you think you'd be interested in a free consultation, a coaching consultation, or maybe you call it a strategy session or something? And out of those 5, maybe 3 would say yes. So if 3 people say yes, now you're going to deliver 3 consultations, and out of that, you might get hired once. Now, for every coach, and depending on how warm the relationship is, and et cetera, and so on, you might have different conversion rates. But I'd say this is a pretty decent kind of start, like a rough estimate for how many clients you're going to get. Some coaches, one of the coaches in our group coaching program right now, her conversion rate's like 75%. So if she gives a consultation, 3 out of 4 people are going to hire her. That's pretty awesome. And I don't know where you're at, but you have to also consider the source of the lead and how warm they are. Some leads are colder than others, right? Like a lead through Noomii is not as warm as a lead through, let's say, someone that you've worked with for 20 years. And they know you, they trust you, and now they're recommending that their colleague work with you, right? Like that's a much warmer lead than someone who found you on the internet. So anyway, these are some starting numbers. So let's figure out how to put these back into the model. This is what it might look like. So I've added 3 rows here. I know this looks like a lot of data, but it's actually fairly simple and it's quite repetitive. So we have the number of conversations that you have, the number of offers, and when I say offers, those are like you invited someone to have a free consultation, and then you actually delivered the consultation, and that resulted in this many clients. So in the very first row in January, you have 10 conversations. Maybe you offer 5 people free consultation. 3 of them take you up on it, and out of that you get 1 new client. And so then it's copy and pasted across here. In February, you have to basically do twice as much work. And so if you were to sort of smooth it out, really what you're looking at, in order to get, in this case, in this worked example, 12 new, grow your client base from 8 to 20, or adding 18 new clients in a year, you need to have, on average, 15 conversations. That's it, per month, 15 conversations, like 1 every 2 days. And you need to have a list of what's 15 times 12? That's like 180 people. You know, that's not so crazy. That's not so difficult. And suddenly it makes the process of like, how do I get 20 clients seem fairly easy, because all you have to concentrate on is the KPI, the key performance indicator, which is the number of conversations you're having with prospective clients. And if you can increase that number, you know, and you can know and trust that you'll be growing that total number of clients down towards the bottom. Does that all make sense? Allison, does that make sense for you?
Yes, it does make sense. It's very, very helpful.
So for you, because you're fairly new to coaching, I would invite you to create a list, like and maybe you can visit the list and revisit it and add names to it, but you would create a list of all the people you know that you could potentially talk to, and just start having these conversations and saying, hey, you know, I'm starting this new career, I'm doing this coaching, yes, I'm still working, but you know, I'd love to work with people who are up to big things, or who are keen to redefine their career, or blah, 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 whatever it may be, and start offering those people coaching sessions. So I'd love to offer you a coaching session. And even if you don't want to work with them ever, I think it's still a good process to do, especially for someone, like, let's say there's a close friend of yours or a colleague. You wouldn't really want to get into a coaching relationship with them, but you may want to give them the experience of coaching, at least for 45 minutes, so that they can refer business to you, or at least be a little more familiar with what the heck it means to be a coach and what work you do. You see how that would still like build, it's building your ability to deliver a powerful sample session, and B, it's having them potentially refer you with more ease, because now they understand coaching, and you know, maybe you help them with one of their goals, and so they might be able to translate and relate that to someone else that they're talking to. Like, so so this is what the numbers look like now. Here is a worked example, or the spreadsheet that you can have. I'm hearing some background noise. I'm going to just make sure everyone's muted. Okay, there we go. So if you want a copy of a spreadsheet that looks very similar to this one, just go to this URL. So it's bit.ly/coach performas. And what I can do is I can put that in the chat so that you can just click on the link, because I get that you can't just click on this one. Deliberate, no, what's it called? Coach performance. There we go. Are you able to click on that link now? Okay, so you can go and take your own copy and this spreadsheet, and you can play around with it. Now, the other thing I've done in that spreadsheet is, between each of these rows, I put in the conversion rate, because the idea being that eventually you want to increase your conversion rate. So right now, I assume that for every 3 people that you deliver a consultation to, 1 would hire you. Well, maybe you want to project that out in the future. You're going to get that number down from 1 in 3 to 1 in 2, or maybe even better than that, maybe 2 out of 3. So you could adjust that conversion rate. So if you can adjust your conversion rates all along your funnel, your sales funnel, then you need fewer people at the top, right? Like, then you need less conversations at the very top, because you're still, out of the same number of conversations, you're going to get more clients because your conversion rate is higher. Okay, so as I kind of already said, looking at your numbers in this way by reverse engineering the sales funnel allows you to go from 8 to 20 clients fairly easily. It helps you break it down and envision what you actually have to do to make that happen, which is to have, in this case, 15 coaching conversations each month, which is just 1 every 2 days. And that's the number you need to be tracking over time. Yeah, you need to be tracking how many clients you have, but I think you want to be tracking this number even more importantly, because as long as you're having conversations, you have to trust that you'll get more clients, and over time you'll probably get better and better at it, where more coaching conversations are going to lead to even a greater percentage of clients. All right, this is where I want to turn attention back to Allison. So Allison, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so as far as your marketing efforts, and I know you're new to coaching and everything, is there an approach that you've been thinking about using to acquire clients besides, being listed in Noomii?
I've thrown around a couple of ideas in my own mind, I guess. Just even seeing that flash of another slide where it said blogging, it's something I've considered. And actually last weekend wrote my first blog attempt, and it went really well. Gaining my confidence in feeling like what I have to say matters. So, and like I said, I am very, very new to coaching. So I don't know about the rest of the group. If somebody has a better example maybe than me, because I am pretty new, I'd be interested to hear, other
Sure.
options or other ideas.
Sure. Well, now that you mentioned blogging, let's look at that. So I put together a bit of a blogging sales funnel. I don't know if these numbers are accurate or not, and it sort of depends on who you are and how you do your blogging and your audience and all that sort of stuff. But here's what it might look like, and here are some approximate numbers. So maybe you publish 20 articles. That's obviously the first step, right? You got to create content, and then from those 20 articles, you get 5,000 readers. Let's say this is on a monthly basis. And then fairly reliably, if with any blog, I suspect, provided that you're tweaking your optimization and so on, from a given amount of volume of traffic, you're going to get a pretty consistent subscriber rate. So in this case, I'm assuming you're going to get a 1% subscription rate. So for every 100 readers, or in this case 5,000 readers, you're going to get 1 subscriber, or grand total of 50 subscribers. And then from those 50 subscribers, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be emailing them regularly, right, with regular updates and regular emails. And I would assume that within the context of those emails, or maybe in your future blog posts, you'll invite those people to have a free consultation with you. And so, that's just one more lead source. And then, of course, once you give them a free consultation, then they, some percentage of them become clients. I could have had a 5th step here, right, which is they go from a free consult to a paying client. And with something like blogging, what you'll probably experience is that there are some predictable numbers as you do it, as you grow your numbers. Like for instance, if you start blogging and you publish 1 blog post every week, you'll probably pretty reliably get a certain number of people clicking on that article in the first week that you publish it, because you're probably going to be sharing it on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all these places, so you're going to be promoting it. And then thereafter, you're probably going to get a fairly consistent number of people reading it every single month, just because you know, you're going to have this sort of mass of people coming to your blog and you know, reading your stuff every single month. And so then you can build this sort of reliability into the numbers. And that's the whole part of the whole point here, is so that you as a business owner can try to predict your revenue out into the future. And so if you can start to build up your blogging business after 6 months or 12 months, you might start to develop some really reliable numbers that looks something like this. So then you can say, okay, every month I'm going to get, you know, 3 or 4 prospects through my blog. Any other sales funnels we can possibly talk about? Or does anybody have any comments about this or suggestions for how to maybe change this? No? Okay. How about, let's hear from someone else. Is there anybody else who wants to talk about one of their, you know, processes for acquiring clients? Any other strategies for getting clients? One that came up the other day was like LinkedIn. Is anybody familiar with LinkedIn? Anybody want to do LinkedIn marketing? Hands up.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Who was that? Sorry, who was asking for LinkedIn? Okay, Rachel. I think there was one other person maybe.
Yeah, it was Felicity.
Okay, Felicity. All right, so with LinkedIn, well, how would you do that? Well, whoop, sorry, getting ahead of myself. So the steps might be, number one, you want to, well, first you would want to define like who you want to be looking for. So is it a business owner, or maybe HR managers, or maybe it's someone in middle, I don't know. You need to kind of define the type of client you want to be working with. And maybe there's some really good pieces of data. Like for instance, someone was telling me a while ago, they do career coaching. And so they looked for people who had recently changed their job title, or from like employed to not employed, or maybe that was on maybe that was on Facebook. But anyway, they somehow got hold of some piece of data. Or maybe you want to strictly work with CEOs, right? Like that's easy. That's easy to find people on LinkedIn who are CEOs, because you can just put in a filter. So you would start searching for people, and then you would potentially add them to your network. So you invite them to be your, you know, connection. Then once they connect with you, then what would you do? Well, then you might want to send them just a note, a thank you note, like, hey, nice to connect with you. Thanks for joining my professional network. Then maybe over time, you want to send them useful information. So you just send them useful information about, you know, how to reduce stresses, something like that. And then eventually you want to send them something that says, hey, are you interested in a free CEO stress debusting strategy session? And then once they accept that, then you go ahead and deliver them that free. So now we're back to kind of the standard approach, but see the number of steps. So first you're going to try to find, let's say you try to find 100 people that are CEOs of companies. So now you found 100 people, you invite all of them to join your network. Well, you're not going to get 100% conversion rate right there. You're probably going to get, I don't know, 30%, 40%, something like that. So there's your first conversion point. Next is you're going to send them thank you notes, and you're going to send them a message. Those are just to, you know, build the relationship. I don't know if those are so much about conversion. It's more just about managing that relationship and seeing if you get some interaction back from them. And then some percentage of those people, you are going to want to offer them that, you know, stress relieving strategy session, or whatever you call it. And so let's say you invite 25 out of the 100 CEOs to have one of those sessions, maybe you'll get a 10% adoption rate. So maybe 10 out of the 25 are going to say yes. And then once those 10 say yes, you're going to deliver, you might only deliver like 8 sessions or something, because people kind of flake out, even if they have good intentions. It might just be impossible to get a hold of them. They thought yes in the moment, then they didn't actually follow through, or they're no show. So let's say it's 8 out of 10 actually you deliver 8 sessions, and then out of that maybe 3 take you up on your business. So now okay, well, if I want to get 20 clients, or let's say 21 clients, because that's divisible by 3. Now you just have to go and connect with 700 people that are in your target demographic on LinkedIn, and just repeat the process. See how that works? So then if you go back to your sales projections, what you would have on here is you would have the first step would be something like LinkedIn connections. And then the next step is, the next major step was the offer of your strategy session, and then you actually deliver the strategy session, and then you get clients. So there's, it's roughly the same steps here. They're just labeled slightly differently.
That's a really great example, Stefan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I never thought about LinkedIn before, so that's really a great idea.
Yeah, now, of course, there are rules in LinkedIn, I believe, about how many people you can invite to connect with on a monthly basis. Like,
Sure.
Like you try to link in with 1,000 people in a month or in a day or something, they might put they might shut you down.
Right.
Just trying to spam the whole system kind of thing. And I don't know exactly what the rules are. I haven't done a whole lot of LinkedIn marketing, but these are sort of the guiding principles. I think you need to be judicious about how many people you connect with, and maybe you don't start with connecting with them, like asking them to be a connection in your network. Maybe instead what you do is you connect with people through a LinkedIn group. And there's lots of groups on LinkedIn that are quite active. And maybe the first step of your funnel is that you just obviously you join related or relevant groups, and then you participate in them. So the first step for you would, instead of blogging, let's say, it would be just engaging that audience and being really sharing and providing really useful information to them to show, look, I'm an expert in this area. I work with CEOs and I know everything about stress. And so I'm going to just offer this information, and eventually people will engage with you. And then once they engage with you, maybe then that's when you say, hey, maybe we can have a conversation. What do you think? And then you take it to the next level, and over time, I can almost assure you, over time you'll start to see like fairly consistent results. Like if you spend X number of hours on LinkedIn engaging with people and posting a certain number of times within these groups, you'll probably get a fairly consistent result over time. Although I could see there would also be some attrition on certain groups, right? Like the group might just get tired. It's like you've exhausted that list. Now you have to move on to a new one. You know what I mean? That might happen as well. And there's probably other strategies for LinkedIn marketing. Another one might be just paying for advertising. Maybe you just straight up pay for advertising. So now the funnel is you have a target audience. So you have to define that when you pay for advertising. And so you would say, okay, my target audience is CEOs of companies that have over 100 employees, but less than 1,000 employees, let's say. And then they're going to see your ad. So let's say there's 1,000 of those people that see your ad. Maybe 1% of them are going to click on your ad. And then out of that 1%, and you have to define what your ad is. So maybe your ad says something about, get the stress de-stressing workbook or something. So now they click on the ad, they get to some page, they download some free document, and in so doing, you then follow up with 2 or 3 or 4 emails, all of which are resulting in them having a free consultation with you. So with enough data, maybe what you'll discover is that out of every 100 people that click on your ad, 20 opt in for that downloadable PDF. And out of those 20, 5 take you up on a free consultation. And then out of those 5, 2 hire you. So you're back to the same sort of data. You know, so at the top you start with lots, and at the bottom you get 1 or 2 or 3 sales. But if that works for you, now you know you just have to continue to buy that, push them to this free downloadable thing. You just copy and paste. You know, just do that over and over again, month over month. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, you know, it can be, I guess what I'm sitting here thinking is you could do some LinkedIn, but then also some conversations locally, or, you know, it doesn't, I mean, I know you don't want to get too spread out, but you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket either.
Oh, no, not at all. I think at the end of the day, what you want to do with this document is you want to potentially have a bunch of rows here at the top, which is sources of your leads. And so eventually what you'll know is like the number of consultations you give and the number of new clients you have, like the total number of client consultations, I'm guessing with almost all coaches, that step will not be missed. You will not give a free consultation, right? With any new client that hires you, at least for one-on-one coaching, they're not going to not have a consultation with you. That's pretty darn rare that someone will hire you without ever even talking to you. So this step is always there, but then you may want to track the total number of leads that you'll generate on a monthly basis from all these different sources. So let's say once you're blogging, you know, the coaches that have been doing this for a while, they're going to get leads through their blog. They're going to get leads through sources like Noomii or Thumbtack or various other internet web directories. And they're going to start to know kind of fairly reliably how many they can get from those sources. 1 a month, 2 a month, 3 a month, whatever it may be. They'll get every month, maybe they'll send out a little blast to their past clients saying, hey, you know, do you know anybody who might, or maybe they just send that out quarterly, these quarterly emails. So then they get referrals from all their past clients, and that's a reliable number that they maybe get every quarter. Then they'll go to networking events, and maybe they go to a BNI, and their BNI group generally sends them 2 clients every month. Et cetera, et cetera. So you want to build up your stable of sources, of reliable sources, so that in the future, 1, 2, maybe even 5 or 7 years from now, you can predictably know where your clients are going to be coming from. We have a client, she just emailed me, and she was so ecstatic. She's been with Noomii for what feels like forever, and she just passed the $120,000 revenue point, right? So she's just like, I'm so excited. I'm excited for her. But it took a long time. It took her a while to get there, but now she's there. And I know for a fact that she's generating source clients from a number of different sources, and fairly reliably. So that's where you want to get to. And I would also say, like, generating a reliable source of leads from any one source takes a bit of time. Like, you can't just go to one networking event and think that's going to pay off. If you go join a BNI group, for instance, you probably want to participate in that group for quite a while. And it'll be a while before the other members really know and trust you and want to refer you business, right? Because they're not going to do that in the first month. Blogging, same sort of thing. You need to have some sustainability and persistence to get to the point where you're actually able to generate a reliable amount of traffic, visitors, and then from those visitors, a reliable number of conversions every single month. Or rather, first you have visitors, then you have subscribers, then you have conversions, right? Or like people wanting free consultations. Generally, those would be the steps that they would follow. Same thing with just any other source. It just takes you a while to sort of get good at it. If you're going to pay for advertising on LinkedIn, it's going to take you a while. If you want to just like add 50 people to your network every single month and then send them a message and, butter them up a little bit by like sending them valuable information, that it's going to take you a while to get good at that. You're not necessarily going to knock it out of the park right away. And so your conversion rates are going to be sloppier at the beginning than they will be at the end. But eventually, you want to get to this place where your conversion rates are really high and you have lots of sources of leads, so that when you map out your future, it's like, this month I'm going to get 3 leads from here, 2 from there, 1 from here, 6 from there, and another 7 from here. And that's probably going to get me 8 new clients this month. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And I know with Sifu Carl Romain, so he's the gentleman that we partnered with to deliver the Deliberate Growth, the group coaching program. His target is 4 new clients every single month. Now, he charges a lot for his clients, but that's all he needs. That's the number. He's like, I just need 4 new clients every single month, one a week. And he knows that he can get some through Noomii. He knows he's got other partnerships and other people and all these seeds that he's planted over the past, and they just reliably generate 1 new client from every single month or every single week. It's pretty awesome. And I want that for all of you. So there's this. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. You can put whatever numbers you want in your spreadsheet, and at the end of the day, you need to take action. And so why do I have like a caveman and a farm here? And it's because there's 2 types of actions. There's caveman hunting actions. So what's the benefit of a hunter? They go out, they make a kill, and they have food right now. But then when the food's gone, they got to go back and do the same thing, right? So right at the beginning, I mentioned this sales funnel where you're going out and you're having these conversations. Certainly when you're starting out, you need to go out and have lots of these conversations to get clients in the short term. Farming, what's the difference with farming versus hunting? Well, farming, it takes a long time, right? You plant seeds today, you might not harvest for months or maybe even years down the road. If you consider an apple tree, you plant an apple tree today, you won't have apples for 3-4 years, but then you'll get an abundance, like hundreds of pounds of apples every single year, quite reliably, with relatively small amount of effort. And things like blogging, I would consider blogging to be much more of a farming strategy than a hunting strategy. So Allison, as you're starting out, as much as I would love for you to do tons of blogging, I wouldn't do blogging at the expense of going out and having conversations with people, because your blogging will likely take more time unless you have an existing network of, let's say, Facebook friends that you would want to hire you. And so then the content, like you said, was about, just having confidence and feeling comfortable saying what you need to say and having that be meaningful and knowing that it's worth saying. So it's like building up your confidence, and it's also letting those people know what the heck you're up to. So I think that's important for sure, but I would not, just be blogging with the hopes of building up this like a massive blog and not go out and have conversations. So, so as a coach over time, whoops, sorry, I got to turn off my phone. Over time, when you're starting out, you're likely to be doing more hunting than farming, but eventually you'll almost be doing no marketing, because all of those farming seeds that you planted will yield fruit for you. And that's what I want for all of you, so that eventually you can hit that coaching nirvana spot where you're just sitting back and the phone's ringing, because you've got all of these sources of leads that have been built up over time, and you're able to reliably and predictably build your business or grow your business year over year, month over month. So that's my little soapbox piece on hunting and farming. We talked already about LinkedIn and some social networking stuff, but there's lots of different ways, lots of different sales funnels that you could define, whether it's joint ventures or even writing a book. Obviously, writing a book, writing a book, webinar, I don't need to say more about that. We've only got a couple more minutes. Meetups, networking groups, social media, asking for referrals from existing and old clients, building a referral network. There's summits. So these are basically digital conferences, and then conferences, going to conferences. I had a business coach tell me that he goes to conferences all the time. They pay off really, really well because he just goes to conferences where businesses and business owners hang out. And he just goes and talks to business owners. He doesn't have to exhibit or anything. He just goes and talks to people, and he gets clients out of it. So that's it. I want to end by just mentioning deliberate growth again. Oh, I didn't get to this. Sorry, don't have time. I'm going to mention, so deliberate growth. It's our group coaching program. And I want to invite all of you to consider it and participate with us. How it works is, we put this program together to help you build your business and provide you with everything you needed to build your business. And the first is world-class education and knowledge on how to build a business. So I've already mentioned his name, Sifu Carl Romain. He kicks butt. He's the real deal. And he provides training once every 2 weeks in this 6-month program. And he has a curriculum of information that he shares, which is all about first understanding your reason for being a coach and your purpose, and tying that into your personal story, and then being able to share that so that eventually when people like Google you and search you, they can find that out. And then how to generate really powerful testimonials, and how to close a deal. So the money conversation, he's like the master at that, and he has a whole class on that, and some more stuff. So it's really, really powerful, great information, and we want to make it available to you. And then the next piece is the accountability and support. So each group coaching program, what I do is take all the members, put them in a group of 10 or less. I don't want more than 10. And that group meets once a month to do a mastermind call. I host all of those, and we provide it's a structure to have you report on your numbers, see where you're at, check in, share with the group, and then assess your strategy going forward. And you can ask questions, and people also will just reflect back saying, well, that doesn't quite sound right, like what's going on there. And if you're stumped or if you're stuck, it's an opportunity for you to get feedback from the group to move you forward. And it includes a private Facebook group, and I already mentioned the monthly reporting. So if you're willing to make a 6-month commitment, you can get 50% off. And there's the link for you if you want to check it out. So it's bit.ly/deliberate growth. So that's our group coaching program. It's going to kick off here at the end of the month and go for 6 months. So we'll get you through to the end of July. And I hope you participate with us. I also want to thank you for being here today. I appreciate you taking the valuable time out of your day and or night, depending on where you are, and being here with me. If you have any final questions, here's how to do that. You can send me an email at support@Noomii.com. That's going to go to our support staff, and they're going to reply, and they can get me to reply if need be. And that's our number, toll free, 1-800-278-1057.
Thanks,
Any questions?
Stefan.
You're welcome, Felicity.
Really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Last thing is I will be circulating the recording. Probably won't get to that till tomorrow, but you can check your email for that. Mañana, if you want to listen.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for participating and sharing. Really appreciate it.